G'day, in this episode of the Oracle Mobile Application Framework online training, rather than delving into the intricacies of building the user interface of your MAF applications, it's worth our while to step back and spend some time considering the bigger picture of mobile user interface design. In other words, how do we build our user interfaces right? If we do a search on mobile design guidelines, Google returns about 130,000 results. As a result, no pun intended, it's kind of needless to say that there is a wealth of information available to you already beyond what Oracle staff can teach you about mobile user interface design. But amongst all of these numerous guidelines, specifically focusing on mobile user interface design rather than mobile design, is there any trends or ideas that Oracle can share with you before you start designing your first MAF user interface? Oracle has 10 guidelines written by our user experience teams, who amongst many other noteworthy skills are experts in user interface design for both desktop web applications and mobile applications. These 10 guidelines for mobile application design, we believe, if followed, will give your mobile applications a leg up on being something your mobile users want to use, rather than being one of those thousands of mobile applications out there that are ignored for being subpar. Now, rather than abstractly discussing this list, let's drill into these 10 guidelines to give you a better idea of what you should be considering when developing your mobile applications. But just before doing so, just as a reminder, obviously Oracle is a vendor who is focused on developing software for enterprises, that is, businesses and government departments. This is as true for our mobile applications as any other software on servers and desktops. With this in mind, our guidelines are more geared towards building mobile business applications rather than mobile consumer applications such as games. Broadly speaking, the guidelines are likely applicable to all sorts of mobile applications, but you will understand our examples will always talk to some sort of enterprise example. With that in mind, let's start out with the very first guideline, and that of knowing your mobile user. In terms of mobile applications, we can broadly identify three categories of users. Categorizing mobile users helps us identify what type of application we're building, where we need to match the mobile user's needs and characteristics to the application design. The first type of mobile user is one whose job is completely mobile, and their job is totally dependent on the mobile application. This type of worker is required as part of their job to be constantly moving all day, completing one task after another again and again, using the mobile device to assist them. These types of users benefit heavily from any of their tasks being automated, as any speed gain makes them more productive and less error prone. In terms of mobility applications, a large part of the use case for such staff is capturing, analyzing, and displaying data, such as a storeman who is scanning parcels in a warehouse, retail staff who need to get price checks on shelf items to answer customer inquiries, and librarians who are searching for certain authors or titles. Another type of mobile user, or not as the case might be, is the occasional mobile worker. While this worker may travel between work locations, the majority of their work is done at a stationary location, such as a desk. Their work, for the main part, relies on laptops or desktops where the hardware and software is optimized for stationary use at a desk. In many cases, IT developers and other IT staff, such as you and me, are a classic example where we need a fully fledged desktop PC to develop with IDEs and other complex system interfaces. As a result, such workers and their specific day-to-day tasks don't make a great candidate for mobile applications. The third and final type of user is a hybrid between the previous two. Somebody who uses mobile devices regularly, but in their day job isn't driven by the devices. The device is complementary to their tasks. As example, you can imagine a sales associate on the road talking to customers will often be flicking in and out of their mobile devices to get information. Arguably, they may still carry a laptop for some of their work, such as completing spreadsheets and Word documents on the sales data, but their preference is to use mobile devices when they can. The range of mobile tasks include accessing email, their appointments, contacts and information around their current work and tasks. To get yourself in the mindset of the mobile worker, think about how you use your own mobile phone. Obviously you're mobile and you may use your smartphone 10 if not 100 of times each day at different locations. You might start reading an email on the train to work, make a phone call from the office, check your calendar while grabbing a latte at the nearby cafe, access sales data while at a customer site visit. Over the day, your mobile phone gets used in many different locations, often in very short spurts, where your attention is constantly distracted by the key activity that led to the mobile use in the first place. Conversely, you'll recognize that even though you are mobile, moving frequently, the mobile device not only allows you to contact other people and access remote systems, but other people and the mobile devices can contact you or notify you of work events to respond to. So you are more readily available to take work tasks on. To assist you to design mobile applications, a common technique used by user experience professionals is that of defining mobile personas. These represent different imaginary characters or users of your mobile application. For each persona, we define all sorts of characteristics to make the persona a real person who may use our mobile application. For instance, we might define what roles they hold in their organization, their goals, behaviors, needs and limitations. We can be as sophisticated as we like by giving the personas actual fictional names, photos, social lives and families. We can define their demographics, how technically proficient they are, what analytics they need to get their job done, define a day in their working life, all with the goal of creating a real user of our mobile applications. Arguably, this can be a complete act of fiction, but preferably the personas should be based on real field research of your real users. So what's the point? It seems like a lot of effort. Well, mobile personas can be used to ensure that your mobile development teams focus on real users and their roles. Personas can be used to validate your designs and assumptions and ultimately ensure designs are grounded in real end user activities. In the end, it's a useful mechanism for assisting your overall mobile application design rather than just stringing a bunch of wireframes or mock-ups together. Moving on to the next guideline, the second guideline, that is for building mobile applications, is to define the essential mobile tasks. As a developer, you've likely been involved in your career in building numerous enterprise systems for your organization, potentially with a fair amount of functional requirements. And likely if you work for a large enterprise, the functional specifications go on and on and on and on and on. As you'll likely appreciate, this huge range of tasks that your corporate systems are capable of doing is more than likely way beyond all the use cases that your mobile users want to access. For example, imagine a mobile application for taxation. What's more likely? That you want to look up the size of your tax return, or that you want to lodge your yearly tax return with its 40 pages of information on your mobile device? As you can see, not all tasks should necessarily be replicated on a mobile application. As such, as part of your development effort, we need to consider defining just the essential tasks that our mobile applications need to support. That is, a mobile version of your corporate desktop system may need only support a subset of all the tasks provided by our corporate systems, typically accessed via a desktop computer. Because in reality, some tasks can only be completed in front of a real computer, and mobile tasks tend to be smaller and faster in nature. In addition, where the core functions of our corporate systems themselves might be quite complex and include many options and data entry fields, for the mobile use case, we need to radically simplify these to make them viable for access via the mobile platform. Another thing to consider is that in terms of the mobile application, users of the mobile application should not need to be familiar with the desktop version of an application to be able to use the mobile application. This is really a future-proofing exercise because what we'll discover as new staff come on board after we've built the mobile application In many cases, their preference is to use the mobile application first, which implies they may never have used the full-blown desktop version of our application in the first place to learn about all the system functionality. The next guideline we'll look at is, in designing our mobile applications, is understanding the context that the application is used in. As IT workers, when we tend to think about people using mobile devices, we tend to think about scenarios like this. A staff member in a very controlled environment, free of distractions, accessing our systems. But in reality, because of the nature of mobile applications, that being they live on a mobile device that can be used when we're moving around, mobile applications can be used in all sorts of contexts. As we know, we often access our mobile devices while commuting to work in noisy and distracting environments. In addition, mobile devices are used by all sorts of industries, from clerical jobs to building sites, where workers wear thick gloves to protect their hands and can't swipe the devices easily. And also in extreme environments, users may be using mobile devices where their attention is constantly drawn away. As such, when building a mobile application, it is essential it works in the user's environment and within the context of use. In our design, we need to carefully consider any user limitations which will affect how they use our application, as well as any distractions that will interrupt how they work with our application. In doing so, it's very helpful to study the actual environment under which our users will make use of our mobile app, so we can identify these issues based on actual experience. There's nothing like real-world test conditions to learn what our users have to deal with. In addition, designing for context also means the application should try and understand what real-time environment our users are in and deliver solutions around this. As example, if a courier pulls up at their next delivery address, a mobile application could detect the courier's location via the GPS, work out which delivery sheet to display on the mobile device, having the application ready to accept the customer's signature as the courier walks to the door, or with no intervention from the user at all. This in turn would speed up the courier's turnaround time in terms of driving to the next address, and over the day they can deliver more packages. Ultimately, the business benefits, customers benefits, everyone's happy. As you can see, there are all sorts of opportunities available to mobile applications in context that have never really been available to desktop applications. It's well worth putting on our thinking caps, on to see what ideas we can come up with. If we look at some real examples, on the left we can see Yelp, which is well known for allowing mobile users to find businesses such as restaurants. As you can see, not only does the application give you a 5-star rating of a store or a restaurant, which is sort of a feedback customers want to know about any business before shopping there, but in context of the mobile user's current location, via the device's GPS, it lets the user know how far away the business is, particularly important when you want to find a restaurant quickly. This can be extended to an enterprise mobile application, where here we can see in Fusion Mobile Sales an Oracle Mobile Sales application for sales staff. As you can see, it's in context of their current location, showing a number of customers around the salesperson's current location. If the meeting with the current customer is finished early, this allows the sales associate to quickly see if there are any other customers in the area they could visit to make best use of their time. Of course, it's not all about maps, and in this third example we can see a notes application with embedded pictures which we can add into a diary. As you can see, the picture's location is automatically pulled and put in the note as well. As you can see in all three examples, they've all made use of the device features in context of where and what the user is currently doing to provide the user with more information or automation without much effort on their part at all. The next and fourth guideline is one that a huge amount of research and creative thinking goes into, is that of flattening the mobile application's navigation model. This requirement is kind of obvious, but not one that's easy to achieve. With limited screen real estate and often complex tasks to express in applications, Deep menu structures are a necessary byproduct of enterprise systems. Yet, if you've ever played with a mobile application where you've got lost with too many up, down, left, right, where do I go now swipes, you'll know that mobile applications don't cope well with deep and potential complex menu and screen structures. So one of our key goals in designing the user interface around key actions in our mobile application is to make those tasks easily accessible from the front screen and easily accessible throughout the application, no matter what the user is doing. In turn, once a user starts a task and they can be easily distracted, it is useful to provide them visual context on the screen, what task they are undertaking and where they are in that task, as well as a mechanism to return to the starting point which will assist them if they get distracted then can't work out what they were doing in the first place. If we have a look at this example from Oracle's own Fusion Mobile Expenses, in order to allow the user to enter an expense, the core purpose for the mobile application to exist in the first place, rather than navigating down from the front screen to enter an expense, the home screen allows the user to enter a quick expense report straight off. Alternatively, the user can launch into a memo function and record the expense via voice. And the application will translate the text into an expense line, again without the user having to open separate data entry screens. Overall, the application provides a fast mechanism for accessing the core features without having to navigate through several screens to do so. A key aspect to mobile design is to know when to show what types of information. First, start by identifying the key information a person would need to know in a flow. Then make sure you show the most actionable data right up front without much navigation. Anything that might be useful, but isn't absolutely necessary to decision making, should be included as a drill down. However, remember, try to keep additional details to a minimum. Moving on. When considering the tasks we provide through our mobile applications, the next guideline is to make the tasks as short as possible, using 2 minutes as a guideline. As our mobile users are easily distracted and may in fact only have a small amount of time to spare on completing a task, it's necessary to design the mobile tasks around a short time frame. In comparison, tasks built for desktop applications can be much longer in their nature, though they could also benefit from being shortened too, of course. Because of this 2-minute guideline, tasks that require lots of data entry or have a large amount of steps, we will discover in most cases aren't suitable for a mobile use case. In the end, users want to work fast and efficiently to complete the tasks on mobile applications, and applications that don't follow this guideline will likely find frustrated users or no users at all. If we look to another example, we can see in this quick entry timekeeping application that via the front screen of the mobile application, the user can launch into a quick entry screen, which rather than using drill downs, calendars and lists, the application has introduced quick flickable swim lanes to allow users to pick the start and end dates. The sixth guideline, and one that's probably not a surprise to you, is that of focusing on the visual design of your application, the aesthetics. Mobile users today, thanks to quality of applications released by Apple and Google with a huge attention to detail, mobile users expect visually pleasing applications. As the devices support rich graphics and highly responsive designs, and users are frequently used to these very cheap and available and quality applications, they will demand exactly the same of the applications you build. It is very important for your application to succeed that you spend time working on the overall look and feel, and it's well worth your time hiring designers to assist with your icons, graphics and overall look and feel to make sure your users like your application. In the seventh guideline, another important consideration for mobile applications is providing meaningful analytics in the application to our users to get their job done. Enterprise applications tend to suffer from too much text-based data on the screen, which can be hard for the user to assimilate, particularly on the limited screen real estate on most mobile platforms. The use of smart analytics expressed in gauges, charts, maps, and other data visualizations can give mobile users excellent insight into the data and can assist at the task at hand. And as you'll discover in a later episode of this training, MAF's data visualization tags, or DVT controls, give you the ability to add such analytical components to your mobile applications with very minimal effort. As such, analytics aren't just for desktop applications and should be considered in both how they can be included in mobile enterprise applications, not only for small screens, but how they can assist our mobile users base to make quick decisions and get the job done. Mind you, it's important to realize we shouldn't use analytics just for the sake of it, because they look pretty. Any data visualization should be meaningful to the task at hand. Indeed, badly chosen analytics can actually cause users to make badly informed decisions or chase the wrong KPIs, so a balancing act is required in picking the right controls. The 8th guideline is that of simplifying search capabilities in the mobile application. When building enterprise user interfaces, have you ever built a search screen that looks like this, with the justification of giving the user the ability to perform sophisticated queries on the underlying data in just about any field? Now, inherently, we know these screens are virtually never fully utilized by users, and we know providing such large search facilities on a mobile device really isn't going to cut it. There's not enough screen real estate. The interface is not optimized for large amounts of data entry, and let's be honest, most users expect a simple one-field Google-like search these days anyway, and that extends to mobile applications too. As a guideline then, search, which is typically a key part of many mobile applications, just like the primary task, should be quickly visible and accessible throughout our mobile applications. Ideally, like Google, it should be one field, but if more than one field is required, the additional field should default to the most common search value for the field or some intelligent choice based on the context of the user. Ideally, the other search fields shouldn't be text fields requiring data entry on a keyboard, but rather pop lists with a range of valid values where the users can pick them from. Ultimately, search should be quick, painless, and not inhibit the user from getting the task done by a complex interface. For example, this mobile screenshot exhibits qualities of useful search capabilities. The search is at the top of the screen where it's easily identifiable and visible. A single field to search multiple fields in the list makes it easy to use. It's backed up with a voice-enabled search for when the user is on the road and can't type on the keyboard, as well as hint text to give the user an idea of what a valid search field value would be, with finally obviously and clearly laid out search results. The 9th guideline is that of embedding collaboration facilities into our mobile application. In contemporary society, spanning all parts of the world, Western and Eastern, First and Third World, social media and the associated collaboration on tools like Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and so on are a key one-stop shop for information. For younger generations and increasingly older generations, unfortunately me, communicating via social media is seen as the norm, not just in their personal lives, but at work too. Indeed, the younger generation will use these tools even if employers adopt or have policies for them or not. In conjunction to this, as communication and collaboration is a key feature of mobile devices, it is only natural any mobile application we build should extend upon this fact and make it a central tenement of the app's functionality. This should include facilities to call people, connect to social networks, and of course send SMS and messages. The last guideline is that of leveraging the mobile platform for what it provides to us. When building a mobile application, developers sometimes focus too much on the development task and forget to sit back and understand what possibilities an application on a smartphone affords us. While a smartphone includes an operating system, applications, web access, a keyboard, and features like email beyond regular phone capabilities, it's also the device's integrated device services that present a range of possibilities in application development that were never available to regular desktop or web applications. If we think about a smartphone, it's integrated with features and applications like a clock, stopwatch, camera, the ability to read books and manuals, a compass, an accelerometer, access to a calendar, diary, music, an address book, a GPS, maps, a video camera, and a dictaphone. All of these can be leveraged in building a compelling mobile application. With these integrated services, unlike a desktop application, we can capture the exact time of an event, take pictures of a car accident for an insurance report, allow the user to download a PDF on how to fix their TV, provide directions to the nearest gas station, allow users to schedule their day while on the road, listen to instructions how to complete a task, find contact details for employees when not at HQ, get the accurate GPS location of a mine site incident, give a detailed map on how to find a house to buy, take videos of a crime scene, or dictate the meeting minutes for corporate records. All these opportunities and many more are available to us and our organisations through the provisioning of mobile applications, providing a large business benefit not seen in traditional computing systems development. So in this episode, we've basically talked about the high-level design of user interfaces in mobile applications. We hope you'll continue to join us to now look at the low-level detail of building UIs in Oracle's MAF. Thanks very much. See you soon.